Imagine if every thought you have could paint the way you see the world and determine what you attract into your life. Your mind is a fertile ground where every idea is a seed waiting to be planted. When you nourish it with positivity, gratitude, and clear awareness, you are cultivating a garden of peace. But if you fill your mind with fear, doubt, and judgment, you will only see the world reflecting those very things back at you. The Buddha taught, "The mind is the root of all things. As the mind is, so the world appears." Today, we will explore 7 lessons that will help you train your mind to see the good in every moment of life. Lesson 1. Thoughts are the seeds of reality. Each thought you create is like a seed planted in the garden of your mind. If you sow seeds of love, patience, and gratitude, your mind will bloom with peace and wisdom. But if you allow seeds of anger, envy, or fear to grow, they will fill that soil with thorns and darkness. The Buddha once taught, "The mind leads all things. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves." This means that every experience in our lives begins with the thoughts in our minds. When we become aware that each thought carries creative energy, we begin to choose more carefully. On the Noble Eightfold Path, right thought is a foundational step that guides the mind toward what is right, good, and peaceful for ourselves and others. Every time we pause to observe our own mind, we are performing the act of replanting a seed. Nourish your mind with compassion instead of judgment, with gratitude instead of lack, and with patience instead of haste. Then your life will gradually become a garden blooming with light, where every thought is a flower of stillness and understanding. Lesson 2. Choose your inputs carefully. Our mind is like a still lake. Every image, sound, or word that enters is a small pebble thrown into that water, creating ripples that affect the entire calmness within. The Buddha taught about guarding the 6 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, so that the heart is not swept away by external things. Each day, we receive countless pieces of information, fearful news, social media filled with comparison, and conversations full of judgment. Without mindfulness, we absorb that energy and allow it to control our emotions, causing the mind to become heavy and restless. Choose carefully what you allow your mind to take in. Instead of scrolling through your phone unconsciously in the morning, listen to a meditation chant, read a short sutra, or simply sit still and feel the sound of the wind and the birds. Spend time with people who radiate positive energy, those who make you feel peaceful instead of drained. The environment you live in, the sounds you hear, and the stories you tell are all nourishing the seeds within your mind. When you learn to choose what is wholesome to receive, your mind will become brighter, lighter, and gradually reflect the serenity that has always existed within. Lesson 3. Turn off autopilot. Most of the time in our day, we live like people steering the boat of life on autopilot. Old reactions, familiar thoughts, and repetitive emotions make us act by habit without even realizing it. A small word can make us angry, a glance can make us feel hurt, and before we understand what is happening, we are already swept away by that unconscious stream of reactions. The Buddha called this the absence of mindfulness, the state in which the mind no longer governs itself, but is led by the past, by wounds, and by the patterns that society has programmed into us. To escape from autopilot mode, begin with one small act. Stop and observe. Whenever you feel yourself about to react, take a deep breath and ask, where does this emotion come from? Is it really necessary? The moment of stopping is the moment you regain control of your mind. When we see an emotion without being controlled by it, the mind begins to open into a space of understanding. And within that space, we can choose another response, one that is gentler, kinder, and wiser. Each time we pause like that, we are learning to live mindfully in the flow of life. Lesson 4. Reframe challenges as opportunities. In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering is not something to be avoided, but the most devoted teacher that helps us realize the true nature of life. He taught that every pain contains a lesson if we know how to listen. When facing difficulties, our first reaction is often to resist, to run away, or to try to control. But it is in that very resistance that the mind becomes rigid and we lose the chance to understand ourselves more deeply. If we change our perspective, every challenge becomes a spiritual exercise, an opportunity to strengthen the inner self. The forest monks often choose to live under harsh conditions, not to suffer, but to learn how to go beyond the limits of the ego. The cold, the hunger, or even the buzzing of mosquitoes become teachers of patience and letting go. When we learn to embrace discomfort instead of fearing it, our minds gradually grow stronger and freer. Ask yourself in every difficulty, what is the lesson here? It may be a lesson about letting go, about acceptance, or simply about trusting that everything happening carries meaning for our growth. When we look at challenges through the eyes of mindfulness, suffering is no longer an enemy, but a doorway to wisdom and peace. Lesson 5. Practice gratitude daily. In the teachings of the Buddha, gratitude is not just a fleeting thank you, but a deep state of mindfulness that helps us recognize the beauty of what is already present. When the heart is filled with gratitude, it naturally becomes calmer, lighter, and no longer caught in the cycle of desire and lack. Gratitude is the bridge that carries us from wanting to being enough, from feeling incomplete to feeling whole. Because when we realize that we already have everything we need for this moment, we stop chasing happiness elsewhere and begin to feel it in every breath. Every morning, when you open your eyes, pause for a few seconds and ask yourself, what can I be grateful for today? It could be the first ray of light slipping through the window, the warmth of a cup of tea in your hands, or the sound of birds echoing somewhere in the sky. Gratitude does not require grand things. Sometimes, just realizing that you still have your breath, your feet to walk, and someone who listens to you is enough to open your heart. These simple things are the foundation of a peaceful soul. When you practice gratitude, you are training your mind to see the good in life. Amid chaos, gratitude helps you stop and realize that there is still light, still kindness, and still a chance to love. Each time you give thanks, even silently within, you are nurturing positive energy, softening the resistance of the mind and making it gentler. The Buddha once taught that happiness does not come from having more, but from feeling more deeply. Gratitude is the path where that feeling blossoms. If you are going through difficult days, try to find one small thing to be grateful for in the midst of the storm. It could be someone who still stands by you, a quiet afternoon in the rain, or simply the fact that you are still here, learning how to love yourself. When we focus on what remains instead of what is lost, we open the path for the mind to return to peace. Write down 3 things you are grateful for each day, or simply whisper thanks when something good comes your way. Gratitude does not require rituals, only presence. And gradually, you will see that the world around you becomes gentler, as if it were reflecting your own energy. When you are grateful, you not only see the good in life, but also awaken the goodness within yourself. Gratitude transforms each ordinary moment into a miracle, and from there, you will begin to truly see that this life, though imperfect, is still profoundly beautiful. Lesson 6. Visualize your goals as achieved. In Buddhism, the power of the mind's imagination is considered one of the most subtle and miraculous forms of energy. The Buddha taught that every action begins with intention, and every reality is created by the mind. When we learn to clearly visualize what we wish to become, we are planting the seed of that reality deep within our consciousness. This process is called visualization, a meditative practice that trains the mind to cultivate wholesome qualities and achieve inner balance. Imagine yourself sitting still, breathing evenly, your mind calm like the surface of a morning lake. In that moment, you begin to picture yourself living with compassion, patience, and wisdom. You see yourself smiling at harsh words, staying calm when facing adversity, walking with steadiness and understanding. Each image that arises in your mind is not just a dream, but a seed being planted. When you practice visualization regularly, these qualities gradually take root and become your natural response in daily life. Many modern scientific studies also affirm that the brain does not clearly distinguish between what is imagined and what is actually experienced. When we visualize an action with full concentration and emotion, the same neural regions are activated as when we truly perform it. This explains why meditation masters can train the mind through visualization and why top athletes use it to achieve outstanding results. When our mind continuously sends images of calmness, steadiness, and compassion to the subconscious, our body and behavior gradually respond in alignment with those images. However, in Buddhist meditation, visualization is not meant for ambition or power, but to awaken the good qualities already within us. When you picture yourself living with compassion, you are not trying to become someone else, but awakening the gentle essence that has always been inside. When you see yourself patient, serene, and self-controlled, you are remembering the original nature of the mind, which is pure and free. You can begin with simple steps. Choose one quality you wish to cultivate, such as peace or loving kindness. Sit quietly, take a few deep breaths, then visualize yourself radiating that energy. See yourself smiling at the person who annoys you, feel your heart soften toward mistakes, and imagine a gentle light spreading around you. Hold that image in your mind for a few minutes, then open your eyes and carry that energy into small actions throughout your day. Gradually, you will notice your mind responding differently. Instead of irritation, you smile. Instead of fear, you release. Each visualization is a step in training the mind. Like a musician practicing their fingers, every time you visualize, you are rehearsing your mind to become more kind and flexible. The more you practice, the more familiar the mind becomes with the state of peace, and that very familiarity allows you to live it more easily in real life. Visualization applies not only to spiritual qualities, but also to your life journey. If you seek balance, picture yourself moving through the day with steady breaths, a smile, and gentleness. If you wish to heal, imagine a warm light surrounding the area of pain, soothing it with compassion. Every positive image is a beam of light sinking into the soil of the mind, replacing the layers of fear and doubt with new energy of faith and love. In meditation, the act of visualization is also an act of planting causes. When you plant wholesome seeds, good fruits will bloom. When you plant images of gratitude, tolerance, and serenity, your life will gradually become a reflection of those very qualities. The Buddha once said, "The mind is like an artist painting the world." What you choose to paint is what the world you see will become. See your mind as a garden. Each visualization is a seed, each breath a drop of water, and each return to the practice a ray of sunlight nurturing it. Do not be impatient for the flowers to bloom. Simply care for that garden each day, and soon it will blossom with flowers of compassion, patience, and wisdom. Visualization is not mere imagination, but the mindful act of living with the best that already exists within you. When you practice regularly, you will realize that what you have long wished for is not far away. It has always been there, in the quiet garden of your mind, waiting for you to return and see it. Lesson 7. Grow self-compassion. There is a kind of compassion that many people forget to cultivate, and that is compassion for oneself. In the teachings of the Buddha, compassion does not begin outward but inward. Because if we do not yet know how to love ourselves, it is difficult to truly love anyone else. Compassion for oneself is not indulgence or weakness, but the ability to see our own suffering with understanding and gentleness, like the way a mother tenderly holds her crying child. We often grow up being taught about effort, perfection, and success, but few ever teach us how to accept ourselves when we fail. Therefore, when we stumble, we often blame ourselves, judge ourselves, and gradually come to believe that we are not good enough. That self-criticism is like a thorn lodged deep in the heart, wounding us again and again without our realizing it. The Buddha taught that the wise do not destroy hatred with hatred, for doing so only creates more suffering. Likewise, we cannot heal ourselves by continuing to condemn ourselves. Only when we learn to open our hearts and forgive ourselves does the door to peace truly begin to open. Try sitting quietly, closing your eyes and placing your hand on your chest. Feel your breath going in and out and gently whisper to yourself, "May I be peaceful. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering." This is a form of metta-meditation, also known as loving-kindness meditation. At first you may feel awkward, but continue softly. Imagine each of those wishes as a warm wave of light spreading throughout your body, soothing the wounds you once tried to hide. Gradually, you will feel your mind soften, and the inner voice will become gentler. Self-compassion also includes the ability to release the past. Many of us carry old mistakes like heavy luggage. We torment ourselves over things that cannot be changed, words that were spoken, and opportunities that were lost. But the Buddha taught that clinging to the past is like holding a hot coal and hoping someone else will be burned, yet in the end, we are the ones who suffer. Forgiving yourself does not mean forgetting, but seeing with understanding. We acted according to the awareness we had at that time, and now we can choose differently. When we realize that we are simply human beings learning to awaken, our hearts are freed from the burden of guilt. Compassion for oneself is not only medicine for pain, but also strength that helps us rise after every fall. When we pause to comfort ourselves, we are sending a message to our own hearts that says, "I am worthy of love, even when I am not perfect." That message may seem small, but it can change the entire direction of the mind. It makes us stop seeking acceptance from others because we have already found it within ourselves. From there, we become less dependent, less fearful, and stronger to keep moving forward. When the heart learns to love itself, it naturally radiates kindness to others. Just like when the inner lamp is lit, its light shines outward effortlessly. You will find yourself less judgmental of others, more understanding of their mistakes, because you realize that everyone is struggling with their own pain. Compassion becomes an invisible thread connecting you with all beings. At that point, you no longer live just for yourself, but to bring peace to the world around you. The Buddha also taught the concept of non-self, or anatta, that a person is not a fixed identity, but a continuous flow of body and mind. Understanding this, we no longer cling to labels such as "I am a failure," "I am weak," or "I am unworthy." All of these are merely passing thoughts, not our true essence. When we see ourselves as water, we no longer fear the ripples. When we know that we can always change, we are no longer bound by old limitations. Self-compassion is the foundation of all practice, for it creates a safe space for the mind to open and mature. When you begin to speak to yourself with kindness, your body relaxes, your breath deepens, and your heart begins to blossom. You no longer fight against yourself, but begin to walk alongside yourself. In that companionship, you learn the lesson of peace, that you do not need to become someone else to be worthy of love. And when that compassion fully blooms, you will notice that the world around you also changes. People seem gentler, small conflicts no longer hurt as deeply, and each day becomes an opportunity to love a little more. When you learn to be gentle with yourself, you are helping to ease the suffering of humanity, because the energy of understanding and love always spreads without limit. Remember that compassion is not a destination but a path. Every time you forgive, every time you let go, every time you hold yourself with understanding, you are taking another step along that path. And on this path, no perfection is required, only the sincere presence of a heart learning to open. When you love yourself with a pure heart, that is the moment you are living fully in the spirit of the Buddha. To understand is to love, and to love is to be free. Every thought, every emotion, and every experience you take in is quietly shaping the world within you. The mind is like a mirror, reflecting precisely what it absorbs. If you nourish it with gratitude, compassion, and stillness, your life will gradually reflect those very qualities. But if you fill your mind with fear and judgment, that darkness will also become your reality. Choose carefully what you plant in your mind, for that is what you will harvest in life. Each day is a new opportunity to begin again, to see more goodness within yourself and in the world around you. If these teachings touch your heart, share them, spread them, and together let us plant the seeds of peace.